This past weekend saw the release of the Toei Tokusatsu fan club exclusive special, Kamen Rider Genmu's Smart Brain in the 1000% Crisis. Now, there's a lot of really cool things that have been happening around this special. The fact that it even exists is one cool thing, but there have now been products revealed as of last night for the special, and I really want to talk about those, and also just the stuff from the special, because I never did a video about the announcement. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. So this brand new Kamen Rider Genmu special is a sequel to last year's Kamen Rider Genmu's The Presidents, which of course was also a Toei Tokusatsu fan club exclusive special. Now Toei Tokusatsu fan club specials, or TTFC as I will be referring to it as for the rest of this video, has had definitely a track record of very interesting specials. Most people think that they're usually pretty bad, and they are, but like in a great way. Like I think that they are just like the most, balls to the walls craziness specials that like you would never expect to be a thing. I absolutely love these things. And what's kind of been happening with them recently is they've sort of had a kind of tradition of actually realizing or bringing to life April Fool's joke specials. So in the past, the different Twitter accounts for different Kamen Rider series have posted these fake upcoming specials that are like given these ridiculous release dates, and they're all like, April Fool's, Kamen Rider Brain will be released in 2035. And then they actually made Kamen Rider Brain much earlier than that as a TTFC special after April Fool's Day in 2019. And the same thing happened with Kamen Rider Genmu's. It was a special that was teased as an April Fool's joke at some point after X8 ended. I think like in 2018 or maybe 2019 is when that was tweeted out. And then in 2021 they made it a real thing, but they actually made it, instead of just an X8 special, they made it connect to Kamen Rider 01 by bringing Thouser into it. Now that special ended in kind of a cliffhanger, as a lot of these do. Most of the TTFC specials end in cliffhangers that are historically not necessarily followed up on. Brains was never followed up on 3 years later. I know that the Spectre and Blades one from last year, when they did that little duology of Saber Ghost crossovers, that ended in a cliffhanger. I think the Yodana specials for Akira Major did the same thing. So, history says that they usually don't follow up on them. But however, we actually got an announcement for a new one a couple weeks ago. As an April Fool's joke, once again, they announced the Kamen Rider Lovelica special, which was from the Lovelica Bugster, who was kind of the third president of Genmu Corporation in X8, which makes sense that they would, tie him together into this whole Genmu's The Presidents series, because that's kind of the whole thing, was like focusing on the different, CEOs of Genmu Corp. So, you got Kronos, you got Genmu, and Lovelica. And so they kind of did this whole thing where it's like, this will be released in the 2060s, and obviously that's, part of the joke. Now, what's funny is that the joke was Kamen Rider Lovelica. He returned, but there is no Kamen Rider Lovelica. Basically, they announced a follow-up special called Genmu Smart Brain in the 1000% Crisis, like I mentioned earlier. And just like last year's, this is a sequel to this one, and this one, once again, connects to 01. What's really cool about this one, though, in comparison to last year's, is that last year's didn't really have new forms or didn't really have any merchandise whatsoever. It's only been kind of recently that these TTFC specials, or the Taliasa specials as well, have had actual merchandise tied with them. So like, the Geo vs. Decade and the Decade vs. Geo stuff had the K-Touch 21 and those ride watches, which were obviously things used in the special, and I've done video reviews of those on the channel here if you would like to check out what they do. So what's really cool is that last year, the only new form that we got the Black Thouser form, and that really was kind of just because they had to kind of thing, because basically they turned the Thouser suit into the Kamen Rider Zaya suit for the different 01 Visa Next films, and they didn't have the regular Thouser suit, at least that's what I assume happened. So they just made it to pretend to be like, oh, well, when he gets infected by Genmu's Buckster virus, he just becomes Black Thouser. So it was just the Zaya suit being activated with the normal Thouser keys instead of the, Triceratops and the other ones that Zaya had in his movie. And then also Genmu appeared just in his level 2 form. He didn't get any new forms or new, Gashats or anything like that. So this time around, though, we actually have a brand new form for Thouser, we have a brand new form for Genmu, and now we have merchandise to go along with them, which is a very exciting thing. So first up, we have the brand new Kamen Rider Arc Thouser, which is definitely the weaker of the two forms, especially if you've seen the special already. I'm not going to necessarily spoil it, but if you've seen the special already, this form does not do much, but basically, it's also not much that they changed either. This is definitely a form that Toei probably threw together in about 5 seconds, and it definitely shows. It's just the Kamen Rider Arc 1 suit from the final arc of 01 with just the Thouser, or basically the Zaya helmet, just placed right on the top of it. And the transformation jingle is also extremely extremely basic. It's basically just the whole Arc 1 transformation, or it's actually the Thouser transformation with just Arc just said randomly in the middle of it. So it's like when the 5 horns cross Arc or whatever, it's just like, it's just random. Whoever edited it together was just like, okay, place Arc there, and then make it say Arc at the end, and then one more Arc, and we got it, guys. Brand new key. The key is not even remolded. It looks the exact same as the Arc 1 key that we had with the premium release of the Arc driver back during 01. So it was kind of up in the question if they were even going to bother to release the Arc 1000 key, because it was just kind of pointless. Now, I'm sure Soto is going to do a figure of Arc Thouser. We haven't seen it yet, but what we have seen, a lot more merchandise, a lot more effort, and a lot more promotion going into is Genmu's brand new form, and this one is really sweet. So this is Genm Musou Gamer. Now I love this a lot. So obviously, if you just look at it, it's clearly, obviously based off of Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. So you can obviously see that there with the hair and everything going on there. Oh, and I guess it's also sort of based off of Hyper Muteki as well, so it's obviously Genmu's version of Hyper Muteki, which is very interesting because of the fact that, if you remember a couple years ago at this point, when we got the God Maximum Mighty Level Billion Gashats, which was the promotional item that came with the trilogy of X8 Visa Next films, that Gashat had the actual port to clip in the Hyper Muteki Gashat, just like the original regular Maximum Mighty did. Now, there was no actual Genm Muteki Gashat released because he didn't have a Muteki form until now, but if you put the Muteki Gashat into the God Maximum Gamer one, it actually had a special jingle in there specifically for Kuroto, which was really fun. I really liked what they did with that one. So you might think of Genmu's getting his own Muteki form, that they would have used that sound, they would use the God Maximum Mighty Gashat and give him a repaint of Hyper Muteki, but they didn't. They actually gave him a repaint / slight remold of a Gashat Gear Duel, which is definitely not something I would have expected them to do, but I think it works. I think it really comes down to the fact that that sound in God Maximum Mighty was always a joke. Very clearly, it's a joke sound. I mean, I probably played it here in the video, and it's very obnoxious and very, silly and stuff like that. So I'm also assuming the fact that since God Maximum Mighty was not a regular retail release, it was already a harder to get Gashat that came with a Blu-ray, that they probably assume that a lot of people don't have that, so they're not selling you, a brand new Gashat that has to clip into an older Gashat that was harder to get anyway. In this way, they can just sell you one brand new Gashat that can just do something with a gamer driver. You're still going to need a gamer driver, which coincidentally is being re-released, I believe, later on this summer. I think they're doing another batch of those 20th anniversary versions where they, just re-released some older toys. So I think that is a thing happening, so that actually could be very convenient for this if you don't have a gamer driver. What's kind of cool for me is that I just got a gamer driver last year when I did that big X8 unboxing video from Bandai. So this is perfect for me because I still have tons of Gashats I need to track down, but I've always wanted a gamer driver, and now that I finally have one and they're making brand new Gashats for it, I definitely need to pick these things up. But basically, this Gashat, like I said, is a remold of the Gear Duel. It just has a special brand new dial on the front of it, which is the only remolded part, because obviously it doesn't have the circle dial. It just has this weird square dial thing, and it obviously has the Musou Genmu sticker on it. So it's not based off of 2 games. It's just using one of the thicker Gashats that fit into both slots and just kind of was more substantial. And yeah, this is fine. The suit itself is gorgeous. I really like the Genm Musou suit. I like that the changes that they made to the hair and the symbols on the chest or on the shoulder pads and stuff like that they changed around a little bit. But obviously it's mainly just a repaint of X8 Muteki, but that makes sense. I mean, Genmu's forms have always sort of been repaints or some sort of reuse from X8, besides Zombie Gamer. That was his only unique thing. But obviously his base form, his level 1, were repaints from X8. Of course, God Maximum Mighty was just a repaint of regular Maximum Mighty, and it made sense that he would finally get one of those. And now it makes sense especially that he would have a Muteki, even though he doesn't activate his Muteki by using God Maximum first. That'd be way overpowered at this point, because that was level 1 billion. And if you clipped in a Muteki onto that one, he'd be completely unstoppable. So it's kind of funny because the actual Musou Gamer to me looks a lot like the stage show exclusive Game Day as Chronos form, which was basically sort of a black repaint of Muteki. It's not necessarily a rider, but basically it was just a Muteki repaint sort of without a new Gashat. There's like a silver looking version of the Muteki Gashat on the Game Deus Chronos form, or the Game Deus Muteki form. There's Game Deus Chronos from the show, and then Game Deus Muteki from the stage show. It gets a little confusing, but this is kind of what you maybe would have expected a Genm Muteki to look like, and then we have what it actually looks like. Now, the way that these are going to be released in toy formats is there's going to be 2 sets. One set has, I believe, nothing to do with the brand new Genmu special on TTFC, but that's actually a very exciting announcement that we're going to talk about in a second. But the first set that actually has everything to do with the special is, of course, going to be the Musou Gashat in a set with the 1000 Arc key and also the President's Humagear key thing, which is basically one of those typical Humagear keys that has the profession on it, and then, it's like the translucent plastic key, and this is used in the special to revive Kuroto as a Humagear, because he's now a Humagear now, no longer a Bugster, I guess. So, Kuroto always finds a way to revive. He's been killed off now, how many times and come back? He always finds a way back somehow with new power-ups and weird abilities, and now that X8 is so closely connected to the world of 01, we have all these fun things to do. So this is a really cool looking Progrise Key. It's based off the Humagear ones. It has the Genmu Corporation logo in the whole little circle there. It has Kuroto on it. I think this one's a really fun one. It has voice phrases in it from Kuroto. I think it's a fun little toy. The Arc 1000 key looks essentially exactly like the Arc 1 key, but it does have those brand new Arc 1000 sounds that are just placed in there, so it is accurate to the special sound-wise, and they advertise it being used with the premium Arc driver that came out about 2 years ago at this point, maybe like a year and a half, maybe like a year, because it came out a little while after 01, but you're going to need to use it correctly. You're going to need to have that driver to actually make it do something. It will still work in the 01 driver. It will work on the Shot Riser. I think it will even work in the Force Riser and the 1000 driver, I guess, even. But technically, it's supposed to work specifically with the Arc driver if you have that. And then, of course, the Genmu Gashat is supposed to work in a Gamer driver if you have that. So it's all based off of toys that you might have. So if you have either one of those toys or you just have some of those toys, this is cool. I really like this new trend of them packing multiple series gimmicks together into sets. We saw this last year with the actual release of the Spectre Wonder Ride book with 2 brand new icons, the Canon Spectre icon and the final release, finally, of the Yujo Burst icon after so many years. And we just saw it over on the Sentai side of things with the Akiba Ranger Key and Sentai Gear set. So obviously they're not opposed to doing multiple gimmicks, and they've done this before in the past, even in the retail line. One thing that comes to mind is like the Buro Kawani medals with the Magic Hand Astro Switch. Things like that have happened before, but it's just really cool to see them do this. But what's extremely exciting is that brand new Gashats are back, and there's a couple of Gashats that Bandai never released back in the original X8 toy line that fans have been clamoring for literally 5 years almost at this point. So just like last year where they finally gave us the Yujo Burst Ghost icon, which had nothing to do with the special that the other gimmick items in the set were being released for, we're going to be getting a special set specifically of Gashats that has nothing to do with this special. It's just something that they're releasing because they're bringing Gashats back, and this is the Mighty Novel X and Bane Tank Gashat set, which just it blew my mind. It blew my mind that these 2 Gashats are being released together and being released at all. Which ones are these, or if you're wondering what they are? Bane Tank is an infamous Gashat that was seen in the Kamen Rider Snipe Blu-ray specials. So it's a Gashat that he never uses for a form. He just uses it for like an attack. He just has it and he just uses it, and it never got a toy release. The closest it got was it got like a little light up keychain in like the Gashapon line or something. But it was like always like the Gashat that they never made. They made like literally like every other Gashat we ever saw. I can barely think of any others that we didn't get. I think we pretty much got every single one, except for like that silver Muteki one from the stage show that I was talking about with Game Deus Muteki. But like besides that kind of stuff, we got every single one other than Bane Tank. And I guess Bandai just didn't see it as important because it didn't unlock a form or anything like that, and it was just something he had, but it was still something that people really wanted, and I've seen a lot of people make customs of it. I always saw people like pretending it was bundled together with Yujo Burst as like the never released gimmick item set or something like that. And now that we got Yujo Burst a year ago, we're now getting Bane Tank. But what is it coming with? Freaking Mighty Novel X. So if you don't know what Mighty Novel X is, Well, it's kind of in the title. It's a Gashat that was used exclusively in the X8 novel. And this is unprecedented. We never get novel related stuff. The most novel related stuff that we get is Kamen Rider Cyclone is a thing from the novel, and he's gotten a figure art, he's been in video games, he's gotten a Soto figure and all this kind of stuff in the past. So they've really kind of given a lot of stuff to Kamen Rider Cyclone. But we've never really gotten anything else of anything that was exclusive to novels, especially getting to not only get gimmick items for novels, but even seeing what novel forms look like. There's a ton of photoshops of novel forms on the Kamen Rider Wiki that are basically based off of artist renditions of how these forms are described within the novel. Because it's a novel, there's no pictures of what these forms look like or what these gimmicks look like. But Mighty Novel X was one that was given a description of basically a black and white version of X8's regular, generic level 2 form. And we did actually get to see what the Gashat looked like before, because it was released, I think it was in some kind of special version of the novel or something. There was a keychain version of Mighty Novel X, but it wasn't an actual Gashat that could do anything. So they're actually making a deluxe version of Mighty Novel X. And you've probably already seen it from the pictures, or maybe I haven't put up the picture yet. Maybe I've just shown the Gashats, but not only are we getting these 2 Gashats, they showed off, and I'm assuming these are going to be in the box and stuff like that, but all the pictures for these showed off concept art of what Mighty Novel X is supposed to look like based off of how it was described in the novel, and also they've made brand new concept art for what a Bang Bang Tank form would look like for Snipe. And what's really, really cool is that they've designated Mighty Novel X as a level 10 or a level X form, which makes sense. That fits in line with Dangerous Zombies a level 10. I believe that Tokimeki Crisis was a level 10 or a level X. They always distinguish it as X was level 10 at first, so it was stronger than the other forms, but then it became level X, which was the unknown variable, so it could be a very strong form, it could be a semi-strong form. So that kind of makes sense for Mighty Novel X. I know in the novel itself, Mighty Novel X has a crazy amount of power where it can rewrite reality, because it's being an author of the universe. So it's actually powerful enough to defeat God Maximum Gamer level billion in the novel, even though it's a level X form. So it's a very powerful Gashat. On the other hand, Bang Bang Tank they've just designated as a level 4. But that makes sense, because we had a level 4 with Juju Burger for X8, and also for Night of Safari for Brave, which was also in a TTFC special, if I remember correctly. So it's kind of cool that we finally get to see Snipe get a level 4, and for years people have theorized that if he had used Bang Bang Tank as an actual form-related Gashat, that it would give him a level 4, and that's exactly what it does. So both of these brand new sets are going to be released in October over in Japan, but thankfully, thanks to Team Rider and also, of course, Bluefin, they are going to be coming over here for a US release, which is significantly cheaper. So if you want to get them both from Toku Collectibles, you can do that right now for both the Japanese and US releases. Obviously, the Japanese ones are going to cost more, but you'll get them 2 months earlier because the US releases are for December. But if you want to get to the Mighty Novel X and Bang Bang Tank Gashat set, it is $32 for the US release. I pre-ordered that because I really want to get those 2 special Gashats that I never would have thought would get releases. And then if you want to get the Musou Genmu 1000 Arc and also President's Keys set together, that is $65 for the US release over at Toku Collectibles. So those will be down in the description below if you'd like to pick them up. And also we're going to be getting a brand new figure for Genmu Musou in the next Soto line set for Kamen Rider Revice. So they are throwing him into that. And they are absolutely going to do a Soto figure for Arc Thouser. They just haven't shown it off yet. So far, they've just shown off the figure for Genm Musou. So that might be the only figure we ever get of it. But Soto is usually the comprehensive one that does it. But that's really going to be it. I'm so excited about this. I love X8. I really like 01 as well. I thought the special last year was pretty fun. And I can't wait to watch this one. I haven't watched it just yet because it's just still Monday. I haven't gotten around to it. But the special looks fun, the new keys and the new Gashats are fun. I'm really happy that Bandai, and they talked about this last year when they announced Yujo Burst, that they're kind of trying to gauge the market of how many things that they could go back and do that they never did before, that fans have been begging for. Like Yujo Burst, like Bang Bang Tank. So this could lead, or those ride watches that we got a couple months ago. This could lead eventually to more and more gimmicks that they just skipped over. Next up in my mind would be the Kilbus Spider and the black tank full bottles from the Build Visa Next villains. Those never got releases, so I could definitely see those happening somehow, whether they just happen on their own. They also did the Nadeshiko driver out of nowhere, but that was kind of tied into Forze's 10th anniversary. So they're kind of trying to give them a reason to do it. So Yujo Burst had the whole Ghost connections, Nadeshiko's driver had the Forze anniversary. Bane Bane Tank and Mighty Novel X have the whole, you know, Genmu's back, X8's kind of in the limelight again. So I guess they would maybe need some kind of an excuse to bring build stuff back out, but like, it's just really fun to see all this stuff happening. And I would love to hear you guys' thoughts down in the comments below on the special, on the new forms. Are you getting the new gimmick items? Did you always want Bane Bane Tank and are very happy that they're doing it? What other unreleased gimmicks would you like to see Bandai do now that they're more open to the idea of doing that? But now, I mean, the Gashat line, I think, is like basically fully done at this point. I cannot think of any Gashats we just did not get. I'm sure there's probably like one very obscure one that we didn't get that we saw somewhere, but like, they were pretty comprehensive. It was pretty much just Bane Bane Tank that was missing. And yes, technically Mighty Novel X was missing too, but like, I never would even thought of that because I always thought the novel stuff was completely off the table. But look where we are at. So, this is awesome. And I can't wait to see what you guys have to say all about it all. And of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LiveNatureKey or at LadyFigPR. And I'll see you all next time.